Hi, guys. Welcome to the podcast today. Welcome back to a brand new podcast, and we're going over all the things you need to manifest your 2024 from brainwave state to conscious, subconscious, unconscious state to near-death experience, out-of-body, energy, frequency, vibration, what you need to manifest, what you need to create healing, what you need to create magic. All these things are realized within this podcast, and make sure you stay to the end and do the exercise to just ramp up your dantians and feel an expression of energetic expansion. And enjoy the video. Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water. Yet for attacking the hard and strong, none can triumph so easily. It is weak, yet none can equal it. It is soft, yet none can damage it. It is yielding, yet none can wear it away. Everyone knows the soft overcomes the hard, and the yielding triumphs over the rigid. Why then so little faith? Why can no one practice it? So the sage says, fulfill even the lowest position, love even the weakest creature. Then you will be called the Lord of every offering, the King of all below heaven. Let that echo through your mind, echo through the very essence of all things. Another realization of pure source. You are a facet of consciousness, a facet of the diamond we call consciousness. Breathe in, breathe out. That very process is realized. Welcome to the consciousness of the way. My divine, delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade.
Howdy doody.
Howdy doody to you. Another amazing day in paradise. What an incredible Christmas. What an incredible season. What is it? 'Tis is the season to be jolly.
'Tis the season.
'Tis is the season. It is the season. And I am your humble servant and seafood, Taoist Master San Quinn. We be back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. You ever see that show, Welcome Back, Kotter, in the 70s? Probably about 4 years time. Yeah. In any case, I got to be subjected to reruns the better part of my natural born life. Oh, please. FML. In any case, John Travolta, not at his highest or his lowest, but questionable. What an incredible way to start the beginning of an incredible new year as we merge into what is a turning point. Now, for us, Chinese New Year really isn't until, I think, the end of January. It really varies in days-wise, depending upon many different things within the universe, but it can be anywhere from the mid to end of January or the beginning of February. It's all relevant. And so we celebrate everything. We appreciate everything. We accept all. Christmas is great. New Year's is great. On whether it's a cycle that you identify within this realm as a year end from the perspective of a Western culture or moreover the Eastern culture that we're we embody and embrace and live with. People will talk about, quite interesting, very fashionable right now, the Christ consciousness. Christmas Day, I guess, it's called Happy Holidays, and now it's Christ consciousness. And me just being OG, it's good old Merry Christmas. I don't really sort of like simulate the need to look at Santa Claus as if he's some speckled mushroom top that I need to ingest to find my enlightened state of consciousness, which in many cultures it seems to be another fashionable realization. Interesting, that correlation with that, and the rising of pure source energy within what we call the Taiji pole, and more commonly the nerves running up and down the spine as a carrier for this high level of energy, frequency, vibration, which can evoke many things within your upper dantian. For us, it's the Wuji body. You do that, and you're going to have a new realization of what Tao consciousness is, not Christ consciousness. But it's all good and gravy to me, my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's a good point, though.
Right.
That literally is the definition of Taoism.
Right.
Is, I think the humanist gets so caught up in this compartmentalizing, whereas we just look at everything as a whole, everything as as one. And to sum it all up as that, it's like, well, it's not one. There's planets, and there's wind, and there's elements, and there's this, and there's that, and there's this, and there's that. And it's like you're already compartmentalizing into these different facets. It's just all one. It's all consciousness, and that is such a rooted belief in Taoism that we just stay with that.
The mother of all things.
Exactly.
And so, what an interesting viewpoint. And everyone has their own way up the mountain, as we always describe it.
Mm-hmm.
You get up the mountain, you experience what you experience. What I'm very familiar with is we're leading into a new year.
Yes.
There's many amazing things happening in 2024. Let's see. We have a Consciousness Expo coming up in September. We're finalizing the sponsors and whatnot. And then, of course, the lineup of people that will be there, from vendors to other things, that's all coming together. That's happening in September, where we're now releasing other material. You'll be able to go and do a myriad of different courses, from internal Qigong training, Wuji body, architecture of healing, Taoist right stuff, all these different variables, out-of-body experiences, or what we like to call transformational soul projection, spirit projection. And within that is shape-shifting, and that's kind of like a much deeper level. It's kind of like, you realize when you exit this 3D reality, and you're still here in, what is it? In body, but not in soul.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny. This reminds me of a moment where Deepak Chopra, probably in my opinion, the highlight of anything that I've ever seen of his, was he was sitting there getting interviewed by Oprah, and Oprah's like, "Oh, so how are you, Deepak?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm really good. I'm having the time of my life right now." And she's like, "Oh, really? Well, tell me what's going on." Well, first and foremost, my body's here, but I'm not. And then she went, "Anyway, right to the break here, and we'll be right back with you guys. Let's get all together." That was like I think that was like an epiphany back in the 80s or 90s, talk show, radio, TV. That was a big pill to swallow, and it was difficult to digest that. And her response was pretty much validated by most people. And now, of course, this day and age, go and look up Yelp and find 500 psychics, mediums, healers, channelers, whatever. And as it should be, as we're raising our consciousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the consciousness thing. It's not just, Bruce Lee dusting it off and making it fashionable back in the 70s. And this is just a better clip of this, this period of time, right? It's kind of like, okay, and, it should really, we should really be at a consciousness generation, but it's a little bit
We'll get
mappy and
there.
broken there. So, yeah, so we're going into this. So let's look at some fundamentals of a new year. What do
Mm-hmm.
people get into a new year? They get into affirmations, incantations,
New Year's
New Year's
resolutions.
resolutions. I want to manifest this. I want to manifest that. I want to magic this. I want to magic that. I want to heal this. I want to heal that. I'm down with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited, guys. I want you guys to get down with the get down. I want you to materialize all the things that you want to acquire in your reality.
Mm-hmm.
And what better way to give you a line in the sand as a starting point, because human beings like to start and finish things. This is a heteroactive response that is the cycle of the very limited humanness that we call, the human condition. So it's always, let me start here, let me finish here. And so let's go through that. Let's go through, the cycle of what does it take to create a manifestation, a healing, magic. What are the foundations of that? And, we go deep on that when it comes to spirit projection out of body experiences, because you are ultimately multitasking. So there's the integration of the basics. What are the basics? Thought, feeling, and an emotion. That is generated, and it is instantly evoking, an alchemical response with the pituitary, pineal, and thalamus, creating a rippling effect within the culture medium, which is the blood of your physical body, generating a signal to go to a certain part of your physical 3D reality, and it also goes out into the dimensions beyond this one as they're all operating at once. We're all operating at once, right? It's all happening. It's all been realized. It's already happened. If you're thinking it, it is possible now. That in of itself, you have to realize if you're resonating with something that's low vibrational, then the old construct and the understanding of duality would bring you into this point of, oops, think bad things happen. Think good things happen. Very, very infantile, very elementary in its nature. But for all people that have never been on the channel or are just new to the idea of, positive thinking, I don't know. This is kind of the construct. Now, I'm not going to lean on a structure that someone would call the laws of the universe, because the universe doesn't have a moral compass, yet for some reason it's morphed into the rules, the laws, the abilities of the universe, which in and of itself, if you are the universe is you, you are abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite, the truth to all things. Well, Sifu, how do I acquire this? Well, it comes down to this. Your truth, is the only truth you need to be concerned with. That's the signature that is replicated in all dimensions at once, and the higher the frequency, the higher the ability, then it is materialized in your reality, right? So this is why we always talk about the feeling, the feeling. Oh, how I love that. I know that's a song, but I lost it right there. So visual, audible experience, kinesthetic charge, you get this replicating effect from the way 126. Simple as that. So this acquires a brainwave, and now we get to the brainwaves. Let's go. Get up in the morning. It's beta. Beta, you want high beta. This is more hyper-focused, hyper-anxious, over expressive in a sense of urgency, and this is kind of how beta sort of morphs itself. You wake up in the morning, the light, depending upon where you are in the on the planet Earth, and the beautiful light of the sun is shining down, creates this spectrum of light we call the rainbow. It transmits through the magnetic field of the Earth, and then it hits your dermal layer, where you have what we call receptors, self-receptors, that take that information, then transmute it through into your physical body, having an effect that would be nothing short of a miracle, i.e., into your eyeballs, into your pineal gland, creates serotonin, which wakes you up in the morning. It's that feel-good, high chemical, and you're off to the races. And then through the course of the day, depending upon whether you're mastered yourself, master, keeper, creator, you will have different emotional expressions that will determine what kind of brainwaves you're creating. You want to sort of, beta is just the beginning. Mm-hmm. You want to start moving into and operating in a theta alpha, theta being highly, creative, highly pliable, alpha and theta, they're half a dozen, 1/6 of the other. We're talking about frequencies that vary from 8 to 4 to, 2 being a delta frequency, and then, of course, epsilon. All bets are off. You are in the dreamland. You are going on in another state, and it's all gravy, baby. But let's just say, consciously, you get to a lucid state, which is more in a theta state, and you drop into the delta when you go to sleep. And what happens when you create that brainwave at the end of the day? You're producing melatonin. The melatonin is produced because of the lack of light that you are being exposed to. You are a light being. Everything is light, light, wave, matter, particle. These brainwaves are really the signature that you express, that accesses your consciousness 100%, and it envelops the brain. So let's look at the physicality. The physicality is, you're looking at the flesh and blood before you, your DNA strand. That is on a much deeper level, subatomic level. These are expressions of generational shifts before the very one that you're having right now. And then we have what we call, the consciousness, fully enveloped gamma brainwave, which goes up and beyond beta, which envelops the whole brain. When you're in beta, you're only using part of your consciousness, a very small amount. And then theta and alpha, you're leading into accessing what we call the subconscious and unconscious. These are different degrees of awareness, right? And so when you're in gamma, you access all of them at once, and your ability to do that is instantaneous. So when you are highly conscious, you can create manifestation, magic, healing instantaneously. And realize you send that signal out there, thought, feeling, and emotion, it's realized equal to or greater than. And depending upon where you're at and what you're doing, you create the parameters. You want it to happen now, it happens now. You want it to happen next week, it happens next week. You want it to happen next year, it happens next year. It's all varied on your truth, and the only truth you need to be concerned with, which is yours, not anyone else's. So realizing that is a sort of a hard pill to swallow for most people. But when we come to manifestation, healing, and magic, you're operating in a higher dimensional shift than the 3D that you're seeing in front of you.
Question for people who are, thinking about this now. Are you controlling the brainwave state you're in, or is the brainwave state you're in kind of dictating how you're feeling, what you're doing, all of that type of stuff?
It can be deconstructed, which is beautiful. You can deconstruct the architecture, or you can create the architecture. That's a very valid point that you're making, Jade. So when we're talking about the brainwave state, that's like the gateway. Ha ha ha. Mm-hmm. We were talking about that because this is kind of like a point of contention that I recently am more aware of, is when we go about OBEs, NDEs to OBEs, you are talking about things that are materialized from your near-death experience that puts your soul, your spirit, your energy body, it's like you're going 100 miles an hour, you put on the brakes, and everything keeps moving. That's probably the easiest way to create the analogy of how you instantly shock yourself into this out-of-body experience through a near-death experience. Then, of course, through your own training, through the techniques we use, you can actually do it at will, as I do all day long, where you can project your physical body, project your spirit, energy, soul, however you want to define it, and operate at will, creating remote viewing, a distant healing, a myriad of different things, shape-shifting, manifestation, magic, all these types of things. So these are just traits that are realized by most people identifying with the response. So when I'm channeling, I'm anywhere between 100, 200 hertz. That's some heavy-duty stuff when you're channeling. You're doing psychic ability, mediumship, i.e. channeling, you're operating above that gamma baseline, which is 40 hertz and above. So if you were to measure someone's EEGs, anyone that's actually practicing psychic abilities, mediumship, physical healings, manifestation, channeling, all these different variables of what we call sensory perception and what most people have categories for, you are operating in a brainwave state which is above that. So this is just like your tuning fork. But then you get to another level of consciousness. We would define it as Tao consciousness, the mother of all things. And what does that mean? It means that you are going beyond the physical body. You are going beyond the neurology, the biology, the psychology, and we're stepping into dimensions that are being able to alter this 3D dimension. And that comes with a mastery. And so the traits, the physical traits, psychological traits that we speak of, from the nervous system through to, the, bless you, the nervous system through to the brainwave state, is just a tipping point. That's a jump-off point. And so you fundamentally understand this when we're consciously taking you to do remote viewing, astral projection. These are all in the same category. It's just sensory perception. There's a very, very tangible shift when you create a vibration that rocks your energetic spiritual body out of your physical body, and you literally will feel it pop out like an ice cube out of an ice tray, out of like a jello mold. And you'll feel that pop out, and you create what we define as an ectoplasm. And it's like a very palpable, tangible sort of like essence. And so now you're operating beyond the physical body. We talk about the physical body as the tuning fork, the neurology, but then there's another grade up when you're doing Qigong, very, very deep internal Qigong. You're operating in every dimension at once. Now, this is taking place as a model of consciousness. You're operating in all these dimensions at once. Which one are you putting your attention to? What I'm explaining to you is you can transmit energy, frequency, vibration equally in all dimensions at once and create whatever the hell you want instantaneously. There is no side effect, lag time, something of this nature. Does this make sense?
Do you think that there's a component of longevity to OBEs because you're you're not in your physical body as much, or like using as much of your physical body?
Well, it's still operating in this 3D reality. I mean,
Right.
a lot of people are taking the core of sleep paralysis as a jump off point, which sleep paralysis is kind of like you're transitioning between being deep in a deep REM sleep, which evokes this 2 hertz and below, even in epsilon state. What happens naturally is the spirit leaves the body, energy leaves the body, and so you're off in la-la land, and sleep paralysis is really just you being woken up consciously aware while you're having this experience. And then all of a sudden you freak out, your emotions overwhelm you, and you get drawn from the magnetism of the connection back into your physical body. And then you have, a near-death experience where you weren't really signing up for this thing, but your guides, guardians, and angels, whatever is overseeing your reality and your connection, your incarnation of this lifetime, just said, hey, you need a wake-up call. How about we give you one? Let's have you drive at 200 miles an hour. Then we'll put on the brakes, fly you through the windscreen, make you believe you're actually dead, give you an actual timestamp of that, because that states within this fourth dimension or below the realm of man construct of time and space, and then have you have an epiphany and go, holy crap, that we're beyond that. We're beyond time and space. We're beyond this 3D reality. We are all known. We are all consciousness. Have that wake up and. And in any case, you go from these sort of tangent points, wherever it is, and then you use someone that has a technique or an understanding, as Taoists do for thousands of years. This is what we call the transformational skill set. Everything from shape-shifting to soul projection, spirit projection, astral projection. These are all variables within all dimensions. Understand your dimensional perspective is quite simple. We're operating in all of them at once. That's the Qigong model. And then it's being able to transfer energy, frequency, vibration equally in every dimension, acquiring your outcome, manifestation, magic, healing. And so
I was going to say that, we've spoken about the Yellow Emperor before, and how he first got his transmission
from the universe.
Right. And he was kind of stuck laying on the ground for like 18 days.
Yes.
And I guess I never really put together, oh yeah, he had like an OBE. But I mean,
pretty much
in essence, yeah. I mean,
right.
that makes maybe by today's definition of what it would be, I'm just having pure consciousness,
right,
expanding.
Oh yeah, and we use a lot of tea rituals. So we'll go into a tea magical ritual where we'll prepare certain teas, oolong teas, and we'll put them in a certain order, and then do an actual a magical ritual around the pouring of the tea, the brewing of the tea, and then that will evoke a whole nother entry point, a gateway to what someone would call the OBE. We use these other mechanisms, evoking, the Ryu, the Ru Yi, awakening that higher state and opening up beyond what we call, some people would call the veil. And now you're coming into other dimensions beyond this one, and you're being able to operate them. That's the mastery, because the more and more you bring yourself to these states, the faster and faster you get there. This is not remember, we're moving beyond, light speed. And that's why it's so easy to go into the future, into the past, into the present, and get very accurate information. Some people might call it Akashic records. As Taoists, we just call it the Tao, the mother of all things, and you access that source, and you are the universe. The universe is you. You are the universe. It's really interesting because you create the framework for that. And so we're coming up to a new year. Now we lay out our incantations. We lay out our hand seals. We lay out the magical infrastructure, the architecture of how you want your 2024 to be, what you want to create, and the limitation of your creation is nothing more than you. And so there are a lot of framework where people say, hey, I like a 24-hour or 72-hour windows to manifest whatever it is I'm doing, or maybe it'll be a big macro cycle where it's 6 months, 12 months. That seems, generally when you're doing that, it's a form of disbelief that's creating that. Remember, it all comes down to you. There is no in between. So when you understand that, it's instantaneous. And so whenever someone is sort of building up to this point of realization, where whatever it is, the healing is always a great one. You you physically see a healing before your very eyes as, things wiggle in front of your conscious eyes open, and there's a transformation of physical flesh. That is a register of a confirmation of what's going on. Then, of course, you have other things where you manifest, good little wet your whistle. The parking fairy, you want a parking space. You're driving, you want people to move out of your way. You want your friend to call you. All these things are great
Or like
validations,
finding
confirmation.
a penny
Find a
on the
penny,
floor.
find a pound, find a penny, find a pound. I don't even know what that means. But you start to get these confirmations that make you believe what is happening to you, validate what is happening to you, confirm what is happening to you as being true to you, and then the signature gets higher. Then the feeling gets even stronger and stronger and stronger. And you know when you're in that sweet spot, when it becomes realized. And that's why the way 126 is so powerful. It brings you there instantly. You become realized, visual, audible experience, kinesthetic charge. And that, we've measured it thousands of times. You always hit that gamma frequency. So you already realize you do the way 126 and you are in that state to create change immediately in your reality. So mastering of these things start with the brain waves. The brain waves are variables from beta all the way down to epsilon and all the way up to gamma. They start creating titles. I mean, if I've gone up to 200 hertz, I think they call it a lambda frequency, whatever it is. However you want to get down with the get down, it's a higher state. I like to stick to numbers because it's all numbers, baby.
Yeah.
That's the power of it. The numbers, the words, the letters, the symbols are all integrated deep within your DNA. That's why you gravitate to a scripture, you gravitate to a letter, you gravitate to a symbol, you gravitate to words, you gravitate to numbers. That's why it's so powerful.
No, absolutely. And I think with the manifestation too, I kind of look at it like making a free throw. It's like if someone shoots a basketball at some point, eventually they're going to hit one if they keep shooting, and it's like a lucky shot though.
Right.
But that doesn't mean the next time you're going to hit it or the next time or the next time. But then you have, professional basketball players where every time they go to shoot a free throw, they know they make it every single time.
And you know what the true essence of that is? They're not thinking, they're knowing.
Exactly. And that's where I was going to say, like, well, I don't want you just to manifest. I want you to manifest successfully. And that's where the way 126 puts you in that place where you're going to manifest successfully and you're going to make that free throw every single time because you're in that state necessary to do it. You're not just, let me just throw the ball and, at some point, if I throw it 100 times, at least I know one of them will go in. And it's, that's your lucky shot. And then, the discouragement of the 99 starts to...
And that's because you keep thinking.
Exactly, not knowing.
And you'll get this repetition from anyone who's deep into it. You have the Mr. Miyagi moment, which we love to get people to realize. The Mr. Miyagi effect, not the butterfly effect, the Miyagi effect. What is that? We are polishing off your tools all day long. We're feeding you with all this different frequency, generational shifts that have been going thousands of years before you. Anything that we integrate into our stuff is ancient Taoist practices that are thousands of years old, visual, audible, kinesthetic charge. And so you are driving along saying, I don't know, I've still in my Pinto. And we're like, pull over. Go to the front of your car, open the hood. Holy moly, there's a Lambo engine in here. It's been going on the whole time. That's why it's the Miyagi effect, because remember that part in the movie where at the end, Daniel's son is like, I'm done with you, old man. I'm sick of cleaning your house, sanding your floors, watching your cars, doing all this stuff. And Miyagi's like, Daniel-san, what? I'm tired of being your slave. Daniel-san, wax on, wax off. It's like, really? Mm-hmm. I just told you I'm done. I'm not doing this again. This is it, old man. We're finished. Do I look like I was born yesterday? I'm done. No. Daniel-san, wax on, wax off. And then, without saying anything, the old codger throws a
I know,
nice shiner right
yeah,
at
yeah.
Daniel's face, and he goes, "Ooh!" And he
Yeah.
goes, "What the?" And it was ingrained intuitively deep within the core of who he was, because that's what Mr. Sogiyagi, Megiyagi,
Mr. Miyagi.
Mr. Miyagi, that's what he was in training deep within the core of who he was. And so it's like, wax on, wax off. Oh, this is a realization that everyone gets to have.
Yeah.
And realize that when you're doing anything that we create, it builds on itself on a daily basis. There are no exceptions. None. None. Instantaneously.
Right.
No exceptions to the rule. The only prerequisite that I suggest for anyone is, which the Jade Emperor reminds us every day, when you accept you know nothing, you know everything. And that is the biggest hurdle that most people create for themselves.
Right.
They're information seekers. They want so much. They want it all. They want, give me more, 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 more. I want more and more. I'm just curious. I want to know more. That's the famous last one-liner. And then, of course, you've got this stack of information that you've acquired, yet the old expression, you're a jack of all trades and a master of nothing. So realize when you get to this point, you're jiving with whatever the Tao says, the three pure ones say, Jade says, I say. You are here for a reason. There are no coincidences. Understand this, know this to be true. If that's the only thing that you realize, the rest will be spoken from your truth teller. And so these are the building blocks. So manifestation, magic, healing. What the fundamental understanding is, we are operating from all these dimensions at once. And the biggest misconception most people have is you can't focus your attention on every dimension at once. And so that's the misconception, because that's what Qigong does. Qigong gives you the ability to operate, project the same amount of energy, frequency, vibration in all dimensions at once. Booyah.
Yeah. It's like multitasking.
Right,
Like
right.
everyone multitasks all day long.
Right, which is the misconception that you can't multitask, because if you was to talk to a psychologist, a psychologist, a
Psychiatrist.
therapist, a behavioral therapist, they'll go, oh, that's not possible. That's not within the human model. This is not a human model, my friends. This is consciousness. You are breathing from consciousness. This is what, I train people in a very ancient Taoist practice called embryonic breathing. And there are traits of different things. We have thousands of breathing techniques, but let's just say the embryonic, the primordial breathing, is one of very powerful Taoist techniques. And they're a little bit more common, not so much, because again, I've never seen anyone be able to teach it in a way that is for reals. Moreover, the same thing with microcosmic orbit. Teach it for reals again. And guess what? You're going to have it. We will have all these things available to you, whether it's manifestation, magic, healing, whatever it is. You can go and pick whatever you want from the website, from any of our social media, and you go straight to it, get into it. Whether you want to be a healer, you want to just be a manifestation, a king or queen, you want to be a magic person, you want to start casting individual magic. Realize that you are doing it now. If you want to jump off of anything, the most profound thing for you to do is the way 126. You get it all. It's all happening. This is about not going into the semantics of thinking. You are just feeling. When you're feeling, you are knowing. And that's what the way 126 is so powerful, because the feeling is second to none, and you acquire it at a rapid speed. You're churning it out. And so what does that mean is the deeper you go into your own training and your development through the way 126 means that you can acquire the sensation, the activation, the access to these energy frequencies of vibration on a daily basis, faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. That's the goal. Because that's how the universe works. It's instantaneous. what we're doing is just reunited, but it feels so good. You're being reunited with the true essence of who you are, and that's why this material is so powerful. And people get all, you know, oh, this is, there's always two camps within the Way 126. You either love it or you hate it, because it's where you're at your own mental, emotional state. So if you're at a certain state where all this, stagnation, all this obstruction, you're very contractive in your nature, guess what's going to happen? You are going to be repelled by this material, because it literally makes you slow down to a point where you feel like you're beyond slow. It's like, I can't get any slower. This is too slow. This is driving me nuts. The everything. That's the whole point. This is beyond space and time. This is void of space and time. Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, understand this, know this to be true. When you realize that, and so the other camp is, this is the best thing, this is the shiznit. This stuff is crazy. And to be honest with the whole Way 126 community, is you're all amazing. And I would say 90% of people gravitate to it. I say there's one camp or the other, but more of the camp is they gravitate to it because they realize they're at that point of their own evolution that they're leveling up. They're leveling up, and it's being realized through their expression.
Yeah.
So, more likely than not, in your situation, if you're listening to this, you're not thinking or knowing, you jump into it and you start there. Then you go, oh man, I can't believe how crazy this is. And I was just talking with one of my students today, and that was exactly what he said. He was like, holy moly, this is crazy. I'm going to add this, I'm going to add this, I'm going to add. It all stacks on itself, because these are all practices that have been realized by millions of people for thousands of years. And you jump on the bandwagon, you jump into the groove. So you're just like you're getting a what we call a spiritual contact high. Someone else is smoking weed in the other room, but you're inhaling it. Sure, whatever you want to call it, that's what's taking place when you do all these practices. And as it should be, you should be able to measure it at a much deeper level.
The feeling.
So we're coming into 2024. We're back in the game. We're in here reminding you of who you are. Remember, you are the universe. The universe is you. So we went over today, the brainwaves, beta all the way down to epsilon, all the way up to lambda, which is, beta is your wake-up state. If you're going in a higher direction of consciousness, you jump off into gamma and then lambda and above. I don't even think there's a title for it. I just call it frequency. And then you go deep down to alpha, theta, delta, and then epsilon, which is a deep, deep REM sleep beyond your comprehension, which is on another level. Ultimately, you want to hit the theta, alpha, jump into gamma, and when you're in gamma, you can operate in theta and alpha at the same time. What? That's fully enveloping your consciousness. That means you access your subconscious or unconscious. You're able to rewrite whatever it is that you are limiting yourself by, create a new access point, a higher dimensional shift, and you go right there. Yeah, baby. And so brainwaves are incredible. Then you realize the manifestation, it's all happening at once. Whatever you put out to the universe is equal to or greater than. It will be met and realized depending upon where you're at, right? So when you start to realize you're beyond the duality, you're all one with all things, you are the universe is you, then you realize that anything that you want to desire is taking place. It has happened. It's happening right now in all dimensions. So you're operating in all dimensions. So you just go, all right, I want this. Boom. And you create the signature that is equal to or greater than. It goes out into the field and it's materialized instantaneously. Okay? So know this to be true. And it starts with a thought, feeling, and an emotion. And so then that can morph into a manifestation, magic, healing, all things of that nature. Moreover, looking at healing in of itself, That's when you get a big, slam dunk, because you want to see it. You want to start cultivating these energies so they become more immediate, not a progression. Oh, see if I worked up to it. No, the more and more you embody this stuff, the faster and faster your access to those frequencies, energy, vibration, and it becomes instantaneous, beyond instantaneous. You think it, and it becomes real. Effect in place. So, manifestation coming up. We're going to go deeper in manifestation. Outer body. The outer body is basically your direct dimensional shift, because you're projecting your energetic body, spiritual bodies, soul, however you want to put it. This is what we call what most people call an astral projection, but that is just the tip of the iceberg. You're going way beyond that in other dimensions at will. The goal is use Nigong to cultivate all these things at once. And that's just integrated into the Way 126. You acquire these skills just being exposed to it. Instead of going, I need to learn it a certain way, turn up and hit play, balamo, the rest is realized. And so, other than that, you are, there are no limits to anything other than that, other than you. Your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. So, use the brain waves. That's on a physicality level, on a brainwave state that accesses higher dimensions. We're using this as a construct so you can get a grasp on things, and you acquire that through a visual audible experience. You're doing that all day long. You're taking in points of information, and you give yourself the ability to decipher what that is. The more and more you refine those skills, and the more you stay in a gamma state, you can then change the way you perceive things and instantaneously affect change within the dimensions when you're accessing that. And it all comes down to the feeling.
Amazing stuff.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to do a few little things and share some things for the new year with our community and with our viewers, and have them really be able to create what they want.
Right. And that's most important, And so we do all the tools. So everything's going to be available to start your new year. Manifestation, magic, healing, out-of-body training, Nigong training, architecture of healing. All that stuff will be available. You can put it together. Always start with the base of the Way 126, and then you build from that using all these incredible ingredients. With that said, we will exit this incredible wake-uppance with a little frequency, and then I just say frequency, and all of a sudden, wow. Sifu, how is that possible? Frequency has turned into this oscillating feeling that I'm getting through my whole physical body. You're welcome. This is part of where you are at your mastery. As I continue to master myself, because you're exposed to whatever I'm doing, you instantly have the ability to replicate that. That comes from a neurological level. Moreover, mirror neurons. Long story short, if you hear what I'm saying, you can have what we call the 4-minute mile experience, the epiphany where, well, if he can do it, I can do it 1,000%. And that's how it should be. And so that becomes realized. So with that said, any closing thoughts, feelings, and emotions that you want to have with the podcast today?
I think we went over a lot.
Right.
And just realizing, not if you're just not into the brainwaves at all or the science or anything, not to get caught up in that either, because everything is just energy, frequency, vibration. And if you can take that at face value, you're already perfection.
Blammo.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And for that, I'd like to thank my divine delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade. And we will take a moment and just access upper, middle, and lower dantian. 3 breaths in. A breath in, exhale, drawing that energy into the upper dantian. A breath in, exhale, drawing that energy into the lower dantian. And finally, a breath in, breath out, drawing that into the lower dantian. Now, with that last exhale, the lower dantian, you will hold it for 9 seconds. and just let that express itself as it will, because you guys are all OGs. Anyone new to the channel, you'll be activated because we access it instantaneously through the breath. All that stuff is realized for you. So if you're an OG and you're already got the groundwork and the inner workings going on, you're going to get high on your own supply up in here in a second, where you're probably already doing that. And then for anyone new to the channel, welcome. And use these techniques through the breath. The second you breathe, you're realized. Okay? So these frequencies, energy, vibration are instantaneous, ladies and gentlemen and ladies. With that said, I'll get you to either add more sensory perception or less. Close your eyes, take a moment, and let's do this. Breathe in, exhale. Middle dantian, breathe in, exhale. Lower dantian, breathe in, exhale. Hold it. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. There we go. Let that percolate, oscillate as it expands through your body at a subatomic level. Oh, yeah. And so let the breath sort of accumulate that chi and let it percolate more as it builds within inside you. Anyone that can hear me at a distance or is more present in the breath itself, I want you to immerse yourself into the experience, the gift from the Tao. And I am your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Quinn, and I'll see you on the next one, guys.